This series of videos is on these fingerless gloves, teaching you how to knit these. The pattern is called Amira, and the pattern is available for purchase and download over at VeryPink.com. Now, the reason I designed these gloves is that I wanted something that would leave my fingers free for typing or for picking stuff up when I'm walking the dogs, stuff like that. One of the reasons I like these, though, is that these are actually fingerless gloves, not fingerless mittens. You see that there are actual finger spots in these gloves, which means there's no gapping around the hand, which is really nice. And I've used this awesome tweedy wool, which is really pretty and snuggly and warm, and all of that, the yarn that I use is all listed in the pattern if you want to use the same yarn. The reason that I want to teach this as a class is there are a lot of really good lessons in these gloves, including using double-pointed needles, working in rib with double-pointed needles, changing color, and changing color in ribbing to make sure you have a nice clean edge with the ribbing is all part of that too. So to get started, you will need to cast on the number of stitches the pattern tells you to, and I'm going to show you how to join in the round right now. Okay, so we have our stitches cast on. I want you to lay this out in an H shape with all of the little knots facing in so that nothing is twisted. What I'm going to do, oh, and the working yarn is over here on the right side of the H. I'm going to knit this stitch with this working yarn, and that's going to close everything up in the circle, and it's going to start us knitting in the round. So before I get started, I'm going to scoot that first stitch very close to the tip of the needle here, so that I'm going to try to eliminate as many reasons for things getting twisted as possible before I start. So I'm going to turn this around and actually get my needle into that first stitch before I pick anything up off the table. Here's my working yarn. I'll wrap the needle and pull it through, and there we go. We're joined in the round. And we're going to work knit 2, purl 2 all the way around. The whole glove is worked this way, knit 2, purl 2. And the cast on row is always the most difficult row to work. It's the firmest and tightest. And the stitches are arranged on the needle so that you will always end with purl 2 on each stick, and you will always start with knit 2. So it helps you to remember that, helps you to keep track of where you are, which is good. Okay, so that's the cast on. You're going to finish up each needle and just move on to the next one. And while you're working on any 2 needles, the other ones just hang there. They just stay out of your way. It's just like regular knitting. You're only working with 2 needles at a time. So the next thing I want to show you is changing color. And in these gloves, you can see that just about this far up, the pattern tells us to change to our next color, and I go from yellow to blue. And this tail here shows the beginning of my round is between these 2 needles, and that's where I'm going to do all the color changes, is at the beginning of the round. So I get myself set up. I'm going to switch to blue, so I have the blue yarn here. I'm going to take my empty needle and put it in, and then grab the blue yarn, and leaving about a 6-inch tail, I wrap the needle and pull it through with the new color. That's it. I've just added a new color of yarn. Now, on the first round, after changing colors, you want to knit. You want to stop working in 2x2 rib for 1 round. It's going to give you a much cleaner color break if you do it this way. So I'm just going to knit all the way around on this one. I want to show you what I do after I finish the first needle. Okay. After I finish the first needle, I'm going to go back to where I attached the yarn, and I'm going to tie the ends, the yellow and the blue ends together in a tight little knot. And then I'm going to weave those ends in when I'm done with everything, and it's just going to keep things really tight and nice, and nothing's going to come unraveled. Okay, I want to show you why we're knitting that first round. I left an example here on purpose. Okay. Let me show you on this one the good example. You see all of my color changes are really clean. And they look really good because you can't even see where there'd be a mistake. But let me show you what it looks like if your color changes aren't clean. On this row and this row, I did not knit around when I changed colors, the first round before I changed colors. And you can see the yellow is kind of slipping into the rust here, and the blue is slipping into the rust here. It's sloppier. It looks a lot better if it's a really clean break like this. So that's why we knit the first round. And then all the other rounds are worked in 2x2 rib until you change colors again. And that is it. Go ahead and work the whole cuff until you get to the part where you want to separate stitches for the thumb, and we'll cover that in the next video.